Hey, welcome back to Everything Money, or the new title, The Seth Kretchanis Show. Welcome to my show. I have a couple guests here today, Paul and Mo. Today we're talking about BTI, British American Tobacco. Paul, obviously a very polarizing topic. I owned this stock a couple years ago. I was asking Mo prior to recording if this was a little book that beats the market stock, but obviously it's a little polarizing in that it's smoking. And so we've definitely got comments in the past, by buying this, you're supporting smoking, and it's a tough one. We don't get that same slack if we're buying Anheuser-Busch, Paul, I'll tell you that. But in this video, we're going to look at the financials behind BTI. They have fallen drastically since their 2017 highs. And we're going to look at the financials about just, are they making money? Where are they going? And how we can use this data to predict the future and potentially predict where the stock price might be. Paul, Paul, you're not a smoker. But I'm a
toker.
But a lot of people in the world are becoming, especially in foreign markets.
Developing countries are really growing their smoking. It's kind of like...
Did you watch Squid Game, by the way?
No, I watched 2 episodes and made me depressed, so I stopped watching
Every scene, everyone is smoking.
So good. Really? Yes.
Yeah, it's just like...
I remember that. Yeah.
It's like the old American movies, there's just everyone smoking on the airplane. But anyway, tell me about BTI.
So we talked about this one before. Let's go through our 8 pillars here, where we're going to go through our software that's exclusive to our users below. $82 billion market cap, a 5-year PE of 5. We want it lower than 22.5. It's 5. Profit margin, very healthy. Big dividend. Can we verify this dividend sticking around?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because the dividend says 7.9%, $6.5 billion. Now remember, guys, dividends are not secure all the time. You have to compare it to the free cash flow. And it looks like the 5-year average free cash flow is $9.6 billion. They pay out 6.5, so it seems okay.
Forward dividends actually higher, 8.27%.
Wow, so they're increasing it.
And Paul, let me remind you, in 2007, this was a $40 stock, and they did $13 billion in revenue. So their revenue has how many?
Tripled.
Triple.
And the stock is $36.
Yep. It's amazing.
Thank you for bringing that up. Why do you bring that up, Seth? That's a very good point.
Well, people keep thinking out there, as I did for many years, that if the company like Tesla's going to do all this amazing thing in the future, the stock price is naturally going to go with it. And it's just not always the case.
It actually, yes. So again, BTI did $12 billion in revenue in 2007 at $40 a share. It did $35 billion, which is triple almost last year, and the stock is currently at $36. It's 10% lower. Revenue is tripled.
Crazy.
Just think about that, because overvaluation does matter. Now, 5-year return on invested capital, 5.6%. We want this greater than 9%. So this is an X. So far we have 1 check on the 5-year PE and 1 X on the 5-year return on invested capital.
Pillar number 3 is profit growth over the past 5 years, Paul.
Now I want to make one comment.
Talk about that.
My first question is, why is the 5-year PE so low? Is it because of this negative connotation about smoking? That could very well be it. All right, guys, so pillar number 3, income growth over the last 5 years. So we went from 19.4 to 35. Now, Seth, look at these jumps here. There got to be some acquisitions along the way. Had to be some acquisitions, and we'll see that in the cash flow statement later. Net income, 6.38 to 8.79. Check mark there.
Still pretty good. How about shares outstanding? This is pillar number 5, and typically we want them buying shares back so we get a greater stake in the company, Paul.
1.86 to 2.29, so that's an X. But again, I'm sure they used some shares here to acquire something. 140 million shares were issued right here. Another 250 million shares right here. They probably used that to acquire a company.
Where do I see acquisitions?
In the cash flow statement.
Okay, keep going then.
So one of our other metrics, guys, is what we do is I want to look at the debt of the company. Obviously, with less debt, companies are more likely to stick around and stay in business longer, right? So I take the 5-year average free cash flow, $9.6 billion, multiply it by 5. That's $47.6 billion, roughly. So I want their long-term liabilities to be under $47.6 billion. So I go to the balance sheet in our trusty software here.
Tickle me with it.
I scroll all the way to the bottom. $76 billion in long-term liabilities.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Is that good, bad? I don't know. It's just a lot. I remember I'm making a general rule. The 8 pillars are not you must do this. It's a general rule, and every industry is different on how they look at debt, right? Like in the real estate business, you can have a lot more long-term liabilities than cash flow because that's just the real estate business, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, Cash flow statement, the big mamma jamma. Now remember, guys, on these foreign companies, you want to click on the annual for income statement and cash flow statement. So this is for last year, 5.4 billion to 12.4.
Wow,
check mark there. Again, because of acquisitions. Now let's look at the acquisitions line. Here's the cash flow statement, the investing section. They made a $24 billion acquisition right here. That was their big acquisition right there. 4.8 right here and 24 billion right here. So you can go in there and see how they increase. Clearly a 24 and $8.8 billion acquisition are going to really drive revenue and profit and cash flow up.
Yeah,
right?
It looks like they bought Dunhill, Kent, Palmetto,
Dunhill.
Lucky Strikes, Paul. They also own Newports. I know you smoke Newport 100s, the long ones.
Yes,
you know,
I
Mo.
do.
And Camel. And of course, vaping and e-cigarettes has been huge in the past few years.
And look at Altria. Didn't Altria, what did they buy? Juul?
Juul.
And they wrote that thing down how much? Like within a year or two, they wrote it down like $7 billion write down.
Yeah, 7 or 8 billion.
BTI also holds 31% of ITC Limited, the leading Indian cigarette maker.
And I imagine India is a very booming market for cigarettes.
They do a lot of acquisitions.
They do?
Croatia, Bulgaria, Colombian. They bought 20% of a stake in a Canadian-based cannabis company in 2021. They do a lot of acquisitions.
So how do we feel about that, Mo?
I don't like companies that grow based on acquisitions.
Right. You want to look at...
I mean, alarming right off the rip when you said the five-year PE, I was like, that seems low.
But why is it alarming, though?
That was the first... That's something that low, not that it equates to this, it just makes me go, what's going on here? This is where I want to take a deeper look.
Yeah, you need to take a deeper look.
Because even this makes me want to look even deeper.
Even a deeper drag, maybe?
Yeah,
No, just
nice
sort of...
deeper drag.
But here's the thing, though, guys.
Go ahead, Paul.
Smoking has a negative connotation to it. This price could be a reflection of people's perception of smoking. And that's where you as an investor can sit there and pull out an 8% dividend that doesn't eat up all the cash flow while you're smoking cigarettes in bed, collecting your checks. And go ahead, Mo.
The one thing that makes me comfortable with this, although I said all those acquisitions, these are all companies outside of the United States that probably don't care as much about smoking and health of smoking, et cetera.
Why? Because we're more developed.
Exactly.
And this country has become a lot more focused on health. We were talking about this yesterday with Tim and I were talking about this yesterday with Karen, my trainer. And over time, I mean, remember, over time, you look at our parents. Did they care about? I mean, they didn't work out.
Oh, yeah, gosh, you're right. Probably
None of our parents worked out.
And I just look at what's been happening. I feel like I've been seeing more people smoking. I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like I've been seeing that. That's my on the ground research.
So
the Everything Money beat writer. He's hitting the streets hard, looking at people smoking. Paul, how do we come up with a market cap for BTI?
So what we do is we take the 5-year average free cash flow. Now remember, guys, this free cash flow line I added to our software. You can only get it on our software. Click the link below. This thing gives you so much stuff. It gives you everything we're doing here, plus a community of people to talk to, exclusive content every single day. We're posting videos to our community for people to see only the videos we do. So anyways, 9.6 billion, multiply it by 20. Why 20? It's a starting point. Just like a PE is a starting point.
Someone asked in a comment, did you come up with this, or this is just like...
No, I came up with this. I just sat there and said,
Oh,
okay, I want 15 for the 1 year, but for a 5-year, I want a higher number because it's going to start lower and build. So I'm willing to pay a higher multiple of a 5-year average because it should be lower than the previous year. In this, look at this, 9.6 billion, but look at last year. They had 12.4.
I see.
So I'm picking 20. That's a $190 billion market cap.
Oh, wow, Paul, the actual market cap is 82 billion.
Yeah, so guys, as much as I don't like this,
Show me those 8 pillars.
let's look at the 8 pillars. So the shares outstanding, which can be explained if they do the acquisitions, but again, 5-year free cash flow, the long-term liabilities divided by the 5-year free cash flow is high, and the return on invested capital is low. So this is what the software shows you. Sign up below if you want to spend only 90 cents a day to get all of this. It's wonderful. It's incredible. We built this specifically because our users said, how do we get your data? We don't want to wait for just you to do videos. So we created the software, took a lot of time, invested a lot of money, but now it's here for you for only 90 cents per day. We have the stock analyzer tool here, Seth. So what this does, which we'll get to after Mo does the trading, this will allow you to tell you, hey, make your assumptions. Do your 7-year, whatever analysis you want to do, make your assumptions, And here's what you should pay for the stock based on those assumptions. Very simple.
Here at Everything Money, we talk about value investing, long-term holds, or trading on a much quicker base with your day trading, momentum, swing trades. Mo is here for you in that glorious Mid-Nas Nation. Mo, are people trading BTI? Look at that thing down there.
Yeah, so here's the issue that I have. So this is drawn out to 2020, and I'm going to draw my high here and my low, and this is one of those 50% rule stocks where you're kind of facing a lot of resistance here in the middle. So since the beginning of 2021, it's popped and it's been trying, but you can see that this straight line that I drew, it's kind of pulling everything down. And this area up top is called overhang. So when a stock price falls like this, very quickly, I mean, this happened within a month. This is COVID, of course. When a stock price falls like this, it struggles to climb back up here because once it starts moving up, people that were in this say, if I could just get half my money back, I'll exit this. And they take their profits and sell. Same thing, it comes up here. They think, if I could just get half of my money out, and here we go back down here. So getting through that kind of resistance line, you need a ton of volume. Clearly, you're not getting that. So wait until, in my opinion, a company like this, especially foreign, wait until it breaks above that average. Wait till it gets back to its pre-COVID levels up here. It's just much safer bet. I think there's better stocks out there for you, but that's my take.
Paul, you want to stock analyze this puppy?
Yep.
Get to price.
So guys, we talked about before, I don't want to focus on acquisitions for growth. So I put in very low revenue growth numbers based on just inflation, GDP growth, et cetera, internationally, 2, 3, and 4%. They're issuing shares. Now, granted, you can make the argument if they're not making acquisitions, they're probably not issuing a lot of shares, but I still put 2, 1, and 0% growth. Profit margin, 25, 30, and 35. It's been all over the board here, guys. I have no idea, but my job is to be conservative. Free cash flow margin, again, my job is to be conservative. Now, PE and price of free cash flow. I'm putting 8, 10, and 12. The negative connotation of smoking, I'm going to put a bigger discount on it because people are less likely to have it, but use that to your advantage. 12.5% return on all three. Analyze button. The stock's currently at $36. Look at this, Seth.
Right in the wheelhouse, right where we want it.
Below the middle. So if you like my assumptions, you're actually paying between the low and middle range. I like to be at or below this number. So it's looking like, hey, this might be a company for you. Now, I would do more research on, I mean, what's the reason it has a 5? I mean, this is where I'd go to like Seeking Alpha and see what other people are saying about it.
I want to see positive, negative opinions on it. I want to dig into the 10K. I really want to see,
it's not a 10K for foreign companies, but it's a 13F.
13F, that's right. So yeah, I want to look into those different things, but it passes the sniff test numbers-wise. Now we got to go deeper if you really want to.
Well, that's our take on BTI. I owned it. I got rid of it. My son owned it. I got a lot of slack. We were sharing his portfolio, and they said, why would a 10-year-old own BTI? Well, I kind of like the financials, but...
If you want to start looking at companies that way, you can't own a company. You can't own Nike. You can't own Apple. You can't own Google. You can't own anything that they use, that they hire people in foreign countries.
Not only that, you just can't use because people perceive wealthy people to be evil. So you can't own literally any company. Money. There's somebody I know who literally said you cannot become a billionaire unless you are doing something shady or illegal and you're basically an evil person. I was like, oh, okay. Interesting.
Gio, go buy those cigarettes.
No, ash them into Paul's Porsche. That's our take on BTI. Follow along. We'll update with you the stock as we move forward and watch more of our videos, get our lingo that we're using. And if this speaks to you, join the community and we'll welcome you in to chat about BTI with that amazing dividend, Paul. I mean, good Lord. That's why people probably love this puppy.
Yep.
So that's our take. Fondle thumbs up on the way out and we will see you on the next video.